Saludos. Welcome to Spotlight. I am Rosalba Rolón, Artistic Director at Pregones, Puerto Rican Traveling Theater. On behalf of our family of artists and cultural workers, thank you for joining our weekly series showcasing creatives at work. This episode features two formidable New Yorker artists, Caridad de la Luz and José Joaquín García. We have enjoyed their work at home, off-Broadway, and on-Broadway stages. Caridad de la Luz is a nationally known award-winning spoken word poet and performer, also known as La Bruja. Rap, theater, hip-hop, poetry, La Bruja is a Bronx favorite with an international fan base. José Joaquín García is one of the most versatile singers and actors in New York City. Born in the Lower East Side, José transitions seamlessly from rock, rhythm and blues to a broad range of Latin and classical styles. The Bronx meets Loisaida in this episode of Spotlight. Enjoy!
My name is Caridad de la Luz.
Bruja, 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 bruja. Bruja, you do so many things. How do you describe what you do?
I think you have to be a bruja to do everything that I do.
So you're a bruja?
I'm a bruja.
Okay.
Poet, singer, actor, comedian, dancer, mother.
What do we do that all the time? I do 24/7. Ay, Dios mío.
But you know, a good brujita, brujita de la luz, como mi apellido. Caridad de la Luz es mi nombre, and I really try to be of the light. My intention is always to bring art forward, but with the intention of enlightening people and making them feel lighter.
Oh, now, do you remember your first performance?
My first performance was in Abuelita's living room in La Sala. And I have photos to prove it. By the age of 3, I was already conducting open mics. That's where it all started for me. It was in my home. There was always dancing. There was always music. Eddie Montalvo, es primo hermano de mami, Fania All-Star, conguero. And my great-grandmother was the poet. I would sit on the sofa and she would teach me poetry and I would recite for her, and that's how it all began.
Sometimes there's some artists that I won't name that I can hear. I can go, okay, they're tailoring that for a white audience. I never get that from you. I get that you're just focusing in on trying to do, tell a good story. How do you approach your work?
Oh, well, I am Puerto Rican. I never ever felt shame about being Puerto Rican. My whole life we were integrated. There was people of color, brown, black. We were all mixed. And it was fine. So I carried that pride with me everywhere that I went. And my art comes from that pride, from that absolute love. Mm. And I feel so blessed to have that because born and raised in the Boogie Down Bronx,
right.
But I spent all my summers in Puerto Rico. So I had the best of both worlds. My parents would always send me. By the age of 5, I was already spending my summers in Puerto Rico. And I had the most purest experiences, las cosas más sanas del mundo. Yo pude coger guayaba y comer guayaba en el camino. 5 years old, going to casita a casita, porque all my family lived in a row of houses.
Right.
And that's how it started. And then I would go back to the Boogie Down Bronx.
It sounds like you also, that's where your inspiration is from your stories, your family stories. What inspires you, if you were to pick that one thing that inspires you most of what you do, or why is it that you like what you do?
Death inspires me. The fact that there's a physical mortality, that our time is precious, that, this moment is fleeting. This is all that we have. You and I, Jose, right now, this is
it.
This is it.
And I love it. I'm vibing off of that, Chacho. Ahorita I don't know. Chacho.
To be present in this moment is everything. And, those moments that really leave an impression. And in the art, we relive them, we retell them, to keep it alive, that spirit, that essence. All those things inspire me. Guacamayo prieto,
to Pregones? How'd you land in this place of all places?
Well, my first connection was in the Puerto Rican Traveling Theater. It was first with Miriam Colon herself. I was invited by Miriam Colon to do a night with La Bruja. Like she loved my poetry, she supported my work, and I did a night at Puerto Rican Traveling Theater, and it was a big deal. Both my grandparents from Puerto Rico came to see me at Miriam Colon's theater. It was a
time that we shared?
Yes. When we shared the stage.
Oh! Eso era la vez.
Your vibe, my vibe, what we were doing, it was on the pulse of New Rican culture at that time. It was the early 2000s, like almost 20 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
We were grooving, but you were doing it with a band or, acoustic.
Yeah.
I was doing it a cappella with a conga. I couldn't afford a band. I had to learn.
Nos inventamos, yo. Now, if you had, because one thing of Pregones is like, once you're here, you're always a pregonero. I'm sorry. You may not be here, but you come back. That's been my life since '86. What do you have? And I'm sure you have a treasure chest of like, is there one moment that's just a Pregones moment?
I think when Rosalba called me in because John Leguizamo was beginning to do a musical. And it was in its first incarnation. Now it's called Kiss My Aztec. And Colombina was the character that he was using me to develop. And he brings in Rubén Blades. So Rosalba calls me, I come in and I meet John Leguizamo and Rubén Blades.
The great and powerful.
All in one, and I'm here in Pregones Theater, right here in this space was a table.
In the Boogie Down, I believe.
And we were here in the Boogie Down Bronx, and I was with two of my luminary, people that inspired me immensely.
Wow. Now we're under the pandemic. What have you been learning during this lockup, during this quarantine?
This pandemic, this time has been very merciful to me, compared to most. I've seen close friends lose more than one relative. Fathers, parents, their elders. But this time, because we had to be on lockdown, was a time of reflection. I actually got to write more during this time than I have in probably 10 years.
Wow.
Because I had to sit still, where often I was traveling to Pregones, traveling to Puerto Rican Traveling Theater, traveling to the New Rican Poets Cafe, traveling to other gigs, traveling to schools, traveling. During this time, I've been able to really purge.
Oh, I like that.
I also always knew how racist this world was, but this pandemic really showed me the sickness that humanity is inflicted
Absolutely. with. Do you think this is going to get better? This whole, when we get to go to the other side, and we will, and theater has survived all sorts of things. Jesus, plagues, we're going to get to the other side.
The arts have helped people survive this.
Mm-hmm.
It's the arts, because through what I like to say in my open mics is like, we're creating the narrative for the people to live into. Us poets, us musicians, us artists. Through our monologues, through these theater productions, we're giving people something to sing, something to say.
What are you working on? Are there things that you're looking towards the future, things that because I know you're always, we had a Zoom meeting, man. The beginning of it, you were like, hey, I gotta spit this. You inspired the hell out of me. I even brought my book here so you can see, just to show you, look, Bruja, you've been influencing me. Is there, what are you looking forward to? What are you working on? What's your proyecto?
So I've been developing my next one-woman show, and my intention is to call it From Poor to Rico. This poem that I'm about to recite, I've never read before. It's a work in progress, and it's dedicated to my two abuelitos, my two grandfathers. Both of the men that raised me as their granddaughter were not biologically mine. They say blood is thicker than water, but sweat and tears is what separates the mice from the men. The love that they gave me developed that extra bit of backbone that would extend my neck to hold my head up higher. The muscle around the bone was strengthened each time I lifted my face and received their kisses on my forehead. The muscle of my heart grew stronger so that it pounds rhythms rooted in the human soul. From a love that some would never know, but I was gifted this love from two that now sit in the heavens above, my two abuelitos. One was a Marine, the other worked the fields. One wrote calligraphy, the other cooked me meals. Both adopted my parents when they were 3 years old. Both defied stereotypes and broke the mold. They both loved a woman with 3 children of her own. Both raised them all until they were fully grown. Both turned a house into a home.
What is your gotitas de saber, right? What's your advice for young, performers, Latinx artists that are coming up right now?
Lose yourself. Get back to being that little kid that wasn't self-conscious, that absolutely loved life, and just do it. That's really what I love about what we do. When we're in the throes of a performance, I'm not worried about bills. I'm not worried about pain. I'm not worried about, what somebody did to me or what I haven't done yet. I'm lost in this world and nothing else matters. And
lose yourself. I feel a poem coming on.
Eminem said, you better lose yourself in the music. You want it, you own it. Well, do that. Never let it go. Only get one shot. Do not miss your chance to blow. This opportunity comes one in a lifetime. You better.
Chacha. Gracias, Bruja. What do you wish for me?
I wish that everyone could hear what it is that you do. I wish that everyone could see you with your family, with your sons, surrounded in your bubble of magic. I want everybody to see all that is packed into that physical encasement. I want everybody to see José Joaquín García.
Holy moly, ay Dios mío.
Mrs. Lopez refuses to pay rent and we want her out. The landlord's lawyer said, tugging on his high school ring. The judge called for an interpreter. You cannot break down that which you do not have a word for. So gentrification cannot be understood without first knowing what is colonization. Some of lower consciousness may confuse this for revitalization or beautification. But this ideation does not take into consideration the institutionalization of systemic displacement. This is the year where the cockroaches become extinct and no doctor find a roach embedded in the ear of an infant. Woo, 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 woo. This is the year where the food stamps of adolescent mothers are auctioned like gold doubloons and no coin is given to buy machetes for the next bouquet of severed heads in coffee plantation country, in coffee plantation country, in coffee plantation country, in coffee plantation country. Ay, mamaine, en Puerto Rico tomamos café. Ay, mamaine, en Pregones tomamos café. Dugu du gaga, dugu du dugu du dugu du.
It was the first place I worked when I moved to New York City as a young artist. It's one of the only places in New York where I can explore my artistic side and my culture.
We are so proud to be recognized as one of the leading Latinx theater ensembles in the nation. Thank you for your support. Thank you for being part of our family.
Pum, 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 pum. He llegado. Pum,
boom, boom, boom. José Joaquín García, boom, 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 boom. Hijo del cariño. What's up, everybody? José Joaquín García here, cantante, actor, director, composer. That's where we are. ¿Cómo están ustedes?
Well, that was my first question. Define your practice.
Oh man, I started off as a singer first. Never thought I was going to do theater in any way, shape, or form. I wanted to be the next Roger Daltrey of The Who, and I wound up in Pregones. It's doing theater, it's collective creation. It is with an understanding that when I hit the stage, there are millions of voices who will never be heard, but mine will. So what am I gonna say? The first time I performed was in junior high, because we were going through some music in the music room, and we were singing Christmas songs, and Miss Gloria Lee in junior high school was the first time that I saw a black teacher, because all my teachers were white. She later changed my life. And she said, Jose, stand up and sing, White Christmas. So I literally stand up. I'm dreaming of a white. And my whole body was shaking, but I was so thrilled.
What do you love the best about what you do?
It's the only thing I know how to do is to perform. I don't know how to do anything else. I've tried doing other things. Honest to goodness, I tried, but I just couldn't. I'm in touch with my ancestors, and I'm surrounded, and I feel like, I can feel everybody who's come before me every time I hit that stage. So I feel like that. What I do is I float things around in my head a lot of the time. And then I usually will hook up and collaborate with someone who's just as creative. And coming out of Pregones, it was a collective creation. So that was the only way that I knew. So my process is always working with someone else and bouncing off ideas.
I love that. So what has working with Pregones and the Puerto Rican Traveling Theater done for you?
I got into the company in 1986, and it was the strength of my voice. It was how I got in, and I lied about my acting experience. They thought it was like I was doing off Broadway. I was like, no, that was in high school. First of all, I didn't come from a household where Puerto Rican pride was the thing. I'm hearing everyone, I hear your stories. Everyone who's featured at Pregones, you hear, in my house. That was not the case in my house at all. I lived on Avenue C. Okay, it was pretty tough, even though music was what saved me. But being here, I saw disciplined people. I see people doing theater. There was a way that people addressed each other. There was so much compassion. There was so much care. And they took me in immediately. And I was also one of two of the first New Yorkers to enter Pregones. Pregones,
was Puerto
Rican. And Pregones took it in big time. But it was, it was learning about my culture for the very first time, on blast in Pregones, because that's all there was. And I had to relearn Spanish. I remember crying one time. We saw the poet Clemente Soto Vélez. We went to his house. In the flesh! Oh! You feel me? It's one of my few first times. And I'm in this room with this man, and we're talking about West Side Story. And I remember leaving, I was like, Rosalba, I couldn't understand a lot of what you said. She said, did you understand some of it? And she said, yes. I said, then that's enough. And I threw my, ahora, hablando español, and so.
A treasure moment of Pregones and PRTT, any memory?
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
I hesitated for a long, long minute. The ancestral manners that the most illiterate Puerto Rican passes on from father to son was struggling inside of me. I was lay way past midnight with a situation that could very well explode. It was a long minute. I passed her by as if I saw nothing. As if I were insensitive to her needs. Like a rude animal, I just ran on beside her. The police and the children lie with the baby in her arms. I took the steps of the long concrete stairs into until I reached the streets above. And the cold air splashed my warm face. This is what racism and prejudice does to a people into this nation. Perhaps she wasn't prejudiced after all, or prejudiced enough to scream.
I remember that first time when I had my first ever I had a singing solo. There was this big song in Migrants, cantata, and it was Agüebana por aquí por allá. And it was that solo became my solo. Girl! Every time I went up there, I made myself like 100 feet tall. I was like this, and I remember that moment having my first professional solo.
Okay. This pandemic, 2020, what we're experiencing right now, what have you learned from this time?
Hang out to your loved ones. Man, it's I think of Puerto Rico. As an artist, it's because I collaborate. I don't have my collaborator, so I've been stuck. And then for a Father's Day gift, I got a sketch pad and drawing like markers. Colored pencils that I used to draw a lot when I was a kid. And I thought, I'm gonna work on my next project on this. And I started writing, it poured out of me.
Any projects that you're working on?
A letter to Piri Thomas, written by me. I read your book, Down These Mean Streets, and I just wanted to ask, did those stories actually happen? Because if so, that is a lot of personal information to disclose to the public. I mean, you opened your soul. Man, parts of that book were hard to read. My dad says that when you speak a person's name, they come to life in a sense. My dad talks to our ancestors a lot. I think you're an ancestor too in a way. That's actually why I'm writing this to you. I don't know if you're listening, but if you are, please don't answer. I'm really afraid of ghosts. I just wanted you to know that people still love your art down here. Good talking to you. Write me back whenever. I'll be around.
I definitely did not think this was going to be a big hit show. Come on, even on paper, the last New Rican on earth. Right, I forget. Raise your hands. Those of you from the Lower East Side, I got a lot of LES people. No wonder. People normally don't ask me where. I was born actually on Rivington Street. Oh my God. Wepa, you hear that? What? Somebody's playing that? Oh, messy, baby. Sorry, y'all. But when I hear this song, this is, you guys know Rey Barreto, right? Okay. I'm gonna ask. Here goes. This mask, right? This is El Santo, el enmascarado de plata. And when I was a kid, there was a truck that came down my block, right, every Friday about 4 o'clock. And it would come with the latest wrestling mags from Puerto Rico. Now, I don't have any memories of Puerto Rico, but I do have memories of El Santo, right? And I would wait for this truck, and there would be a fotonovela of El Santo in his mask. And he would wear this mask, and I would just read them. Every Friday, I would wait for this truck to come. And he was this guy with his mask. Now, this is really important, that you had to, in order to get a mask, you had to draw it. And in the back, it would display and so every week I would send in a drawing. And I would never, ever get a mask. So now, I got money, and I bought my Santo mask. And this being about the LES, I thought I'd just wear it, that's all. It don't mean anything more than that, except that he's just a big hero. Come on, it's Santo and Rey Barreto. If those are your heroes in the Lower East Side, things are looking pretty good. I've been very lucky, as a New Rican, to have worked with Martín Espada, the poet. You know, I was at it was a dream situation of staging his poems, Imagine the Angels of Bread. And then also doing El Bronx Remembered by Nicolás Amor. And these are both people, New Rican writers, who in their canon, right, of the New Rican writers, are not people who are nostalgic about the island. It's about living here. So that spoke to me here. I didn't go to Puerto Rico till I was a grown man in Pregones. But it was just beautiful. It's my heart. It's who I am, but I'm from here. You know, and I can have both those things.
Yes, you can. Gotitas de Saber.
Oh, that's a very simple one. It was given to me by Alban Colón, straight up as creators. First of all, create your own situation. I learned that I was not waiting for somebody to offer me anything. And then, like the big thing, no matter what you present, what you show, people have a right not to like it. Doesn't mean you stop, you keep doing it. If you're passionate, doesn't mean that it's bad necessarily. You keep doing what you're doing.
Yes, what a gem.
Ooh, yeah.
That is a gem. So, José Joaquín García, what do you wish for me?
Bruja, first of all, you're a jewel, straight up. My projection for you is to be even bigger. Go for broke. That's it, on your own terms.
Qué bueno baila la bruja, 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 qué bueno baila la bruja. There's a boat that's leaving soon for New York. Aplauso, damas y caballeros.